we do it now?
No. Don't. Also, don't forget to say put your glasses on.
Oh, I'm saying that's great.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for coming to this year's Filmmaker panel. My name is Mitchell Bard, I'm the moderator. I've been moderating it for the last 6 years, and this is always a really fun panel. I want to start by some thank yous. We're going to thank first Anne and Henry for sponsoring the session. The Belmore Movies also is sponsor of all this. And as well as Rain Energy Drinks. They're on the table. You can help yourself to some if you are so inclined to set the beverage. They're there. So we have a great slate of filmmakers that are here today, different types of films. So I'd like just to begin to let them introduce themselves to you. So there are 8 of you, so we're going to keep everything as brief as we can. But just basically, your name, your role, your movie, and of course, because we're always marketing, when your film either screened or when it will be screened. So,
Thank you, Mitchell. Hi, everybody. My name is Brian Russell. I'm a writer-director. I have fortunate to have 2 films here this year. I had a short narrative called Cascades that played on Thursday at 1:30, and a short documentary called The Greatest Guy You Never Met, which also played Thursday at 1:30. I cover it. You did? All right. Moving on. Steve.
I'm Steven Sapelis. I wrote and directed The Bigfoot Club, which played Thursday at 9:30. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Hi everybody, I'm Dr. Jeannie Swandler, and Vienna is my daughter, and we have the film Vienna Suddenly an Angel that screened on Thursday, and we're going to be screening at New Hope in August, and we'll see where we are after that. We were at Garden State a couple months ago. I'd like to also thank all the sponsors, and of course Anne and Deb and everybody for putting things together, and Ed for taking amazing pictures, and also our main sponsor, one of the main sponsors, Rain Energy Drink, for supplying these beverages for everybody. So thank you for everybody for being here.
Where's my drink?
How you doing, everyone? I'm Glenn McBride Jr. I have a film today at 1:45 called Stole Buddies. It's a comedy I wrote, directed, and acted in. And then last night I had to move for The Final Walk, which I co-wrote and acted in as well. And thank you to our sponsors, Monster Energy Drink, as well.
Got it? All right. The same award for the best title, and Stall Buddies would have to be one of the nominees. That is an amazing title.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Melissa Skirbo. This year I am here with a short film that I directed and edited called The First Urn, which screens today at 4:30.
Hello everyone, I'm Colin D'Amelio. I directed and edited a short documentary, The Last Houseboat, which will be premiering in the last block tomorrow, 1:30. So
Hey everybody, my name is Doug Gallo. I directed and edited a short doc called West Landing, which will be in the same block tomorrow at 1:30.
How you doing, guys? My name is Mike Coppola. I wrote, directed, produced, and acted in the movie That Creep from the Bar last night. I am the creep from the bar. And, he screened on Wednesday at 10:15.
Also a great title. Yeah. So I think one thing that I know people often wonder when they come to see a film with another filmmaker is, why this idea? Why did you make a film called Stall Buddies? Why did you make a film called Creep from the Bar? What was the genesis of the idea? And because if you're not a filmmaker, you don't understand that when you commit to an idea, that's going to be the next days, weeks, months, years of your life, depending on the kind of project it is. So why this idea? Why did this take hold in you that you needed to make this?
Well, I guess I'll super briefly. The Greatest Guy You Never Met is a documentary about my father-in-law. He passed away last summer, and he had a long and difficult struggle with Alzheimer's disease. And I'd done a film that had played like the year before here called Not the Same Clarence, which was about a family struggle with a son struggle with his father's dementia.
It's a great film.
And thank you, thank you. And this felt like a spiritual successor. First, we knew that his death was imminent. Even though I'm a new filmmaker, I've been taking home video for a very long time. So I had 37 years of home video of this man, and he was very gregarious. He never met a camera he didn't like. And when he was about to die, I knew that I didn't want to do a slideshow. And what I had was him talking to us, his family. And he was like a funny and endearing and very loving man. And so as I was combing through this literal 37 years mountain of footage, I started to come across this idea of let him talk to us, let him tell us, who he is through his own words. And for Cascades, that one is also rooted in reality, though it's not a documentary. About 17 years ago, I was at an event and I heard a young woman tell her addiction story. And she said that the thing that got her sober was when her father sat her down and said, "I am ready for you to die." And that phrase always stuck with me. In the intervening years, we had a tough journey with my own son. And while my wife and I were always kind of united when it came to dealing with him, I knew many, many families who were not united about their children. And either the mom or the dad was trying to save, and the other one was trying to detach. And so that's where that story was sort of born out of. It's like, what happens if they've been married for a very long time, they still love each other, but they cannot come to terms with how they should deal with and cope with their adult child. Hold your applause to the end.
I was just about to say that.
So I had made a movie called UFO Club that showed here in 2022. I actually met the producers, Ken and Shauna, here in 2019. I had no intention of making a feature film, and Ken kind of bullied me into making a feature film. And then we made one, and it did well on the festival circuit, and he kept pushing me to make a second one, and I was like saying, no, I don't want to make any more movies. Please stop. But then I was like, well, if I'm going to make one more movie, I should make like the last movie I'll ever make. And so on set of UFO Club, the joke was the sequel would be the Bigfoot Club. And so I was like, well, if I make a movie called the Bigfoot Club, like, well, what do I do? And so I wanted to tell like a very personal story about like friendships kind of dissolving after years. And I thought, that's boring, so you need some kind of element. And so Bigfoot became that element. And yeah, that was kind of the origin. It was like a friendships souring after years, but Bigfoot's a part of it too. So yeah, that's it.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, totally.
My film is Vienna Suddenly an Angel, and I'm a sports medicine physician by trade, so this is my very first film. And so I was a co-producer as well as executive producer actually of the film, and one of the main characters, of course, in the film, because it's about my family, sadly. So it really started because of the tragedy that happened in my family. So 2017, my family and I, we were living in Jersey in Homedale, and our little girl, Vienna, fell asleep while watching TV and stopped breathing, and then she was not resuscitatable. And so the next day, and we were on our way home from a wedding, so it was our babysitter and our 3 kids who were there, who were 7 and 5 at the time, and Vienna was almost 3. So we learned about SUDC, or sudden unexplained death in childhood, in the most tragic way. When it happened to us, and my husband and I, both being physicians, I'm sports med and he's emergency medicine, and couldn't believe why we never heard of this, because we said, well, the medical examiner found nothing, so, well, she's over 1, so this is not SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, she's almost 3, what are you talking about, you found nothing? So we learned about this SUDC, where essentially it's after an autopsy, medical record review, death scene investigation, everything, the death is unexplained. And so how I describe it briefly is SIDS Part 2, but in kids over 1 to 18 years old. So we have our family's nonprofit, and so essentially, the film chronicles my family's journey, hopefully an inspirational one for people when they watch the film, from local grief to resilience and worldwide awareness for SUDC and advocacy, so that people know about this, so then hopefully we'll get answers one day and we'll be able to prevent this, because we thought when it happened to us, we thought we were the only ones. We thought we were the only ones, until the next day we heard from a medical examiner, oh, I've had a case like this in my fellowship. We're like, what, really? You educate us about it. So now, sadly, we have a whole, community of SUDC parents who struggle with this, and every day after, a loss like that, it's every day is a struggle. Every day is a struggle. So, but I'm so thankful to be able to be here at this festival and other festivals as well. Thank goodness to be able to educate, because before it's always educating physicians. So now this is my first time really of educating filmmakers and you guys, the storytellers, to know about something that even us as physicians, we don't learn about this. So this is really an awareness piece, and also a story of love and hope and resilience, and letting people know that even after loss, whatever loss that is, you can move forward. You don't ever move on. You can move forward and still have, hopefully, a great life. Sorry, it's kind of long, but yeah.
My movie is called Stall Buddies, and the reason why I came up with this idea actually happened in real life. I used to work at Home Depot in Deer Park. I'm in the bathroom stall, and some guy sits next to me, and I'm just kind of waiting till he's done so I could, do my thing. And he's waiting for me. We start arguing, go back and forth. The next one, it's been 5 minutes, and we're still going at it. And I'm like, this is a comedy. That's how that idea came about.
So when Rachel, the writer and lead actress and executive producer of Her Turn, approached me with the script, I was drawn in. I'm always kind of attracted to stories about adult women over 18, who are not typical, who are not doing the Susie Homemaker thing, and this is a story about a woman who has raised her family and is regretting, to some degree, some of her choices, even though she wouldn't change anything, and that road not taken. And I think that it speaks to me, like the things that you could have done if you didn't make the choices that you did make, and you don't want to change who you are, but at the same time, who might it have been? So kind of that struggle with who you end up being, kind of by accident, because life gets in the way of the plans you made for yourself. And so I came in and directed it for her. That's it.
The last houseboat, the boat itself was the vessel that I went out on as a kid, and I knew the family very well. They lived 3 houses down from me growing up. So it was always something that I knew of, and I always thought it was such a unique story, even though the family itself didn't think so. They didn't think there was anything special about it. And I kind of selfishly wanted to just make a piece to get more experience doing film, and I was just going to make a short 5-minute vignette for them. And then it just expanded into this longer piece because we got so much history with it, so many interviews, and what started as like a 5-minute idea became a 30-minute short documentary that really resonated with people about family traditions, and just became another family member of theirs through this wooden vessel. So it was a story that I thought was unique and deserved to be told, and that's why we made it.
So West Landing is about a group of senior open water swimmers in the Hampton Bays, about an hour from here, featuring my mother, who is sitting right here. She is 61 years old and has been a part of this group since 2020. She was a teacher for 38 years, retired last year, found the group on Nextdoor, was looking for open water swimmers, an outlet to escape the stress of COVID remote teaching, and found this amazing and inspiring group where the age goes up to 80, and just all incredibly athletic, warm, wonderful people. My crew came in with the intention of creating a sports doc about this unique group of people, and ended up creating something that is more of a story of companionship and friendship, and just a never too late story for people who love to swim, who want to make new friends, and who love to be just one of the most beautiful places on earth, which is the Hampton Bays, and you get to see that in this film. So I'm happy it's here in another part of Long Island. I grew up in Belmore. My family has a second house in Hampton Bays, so it was a real personal, intimate, and special project. And my mom is the star.
So I wrote my film 11 years ago, actually. So I was living in Brooklyn at the time, and there was a school on my street, a concrete playground with a chain link fence. And I was driving home one day, and I saw this very unwell-looking man on the sidewalk side of the fence while all these kids were playing in the yard. And it just really struck me. I mean, he was very unstable looking, and he's like on the fence trying to talk to these kids, and nobody was really doing anything about it. There was teachers there. And it just like really struck me in that moment, just the contrast. And I went home, and my mind just kind of went, and I wrote the whole script in 18 straight hours, stream of consciousness. And so then, like, I sat on it for a long time. I think that, right now was a great time to make it one. I just feel like, for me personally, to play that role of the main character of the creep, I needed, more time for myself to get to that point. But also, I just feel like right now we're in a time where I've just felt like there's a tremendous lack of empathy. Like I just feel like empathy has really been on the decline, whether it's social media or politics or whatever it is. Like it just feels like people are just not really caring about strangers as much as they once did, or at least they felt like they did when I was growing up. And so what I wanted to do is paint the picture of this very unwell person who's going through something really bad, and then show the backstory. Because we see these people all the time. You see somebody at the bar at their worst state when they're really drunk or they're spiraling or whatever, and you laugh about it with your friends, but that's the only time you see that person probably for the rest of their lives, and that's the only memory you have of them. And this was to kind of expand on that, to see what happens when that guy wakes up, and what is his life, and what is causing that person to act in this way.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So that's really interesting that you said 18 years you said on that?
11.
Yeah, 11 years, sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that brings up like another topic that I think is interesting is that people don't, not that every film is gestating that long, but it shows how long it can take and how much work it can take and how much effort it can take to get from I wrote a script where I gotten a script to we're now shooting it. So I kind of wanted, it doesn't have to be in order, I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but if anyone wants to volunteer, like what are some of the big hurdles that you had to overcome to get this film made, whether it was in development, whether it was in screenwriting, whether it was in production, whether it was in post-production? What is the biggest hurdle that you had to overcome to get this project made?
I'll jump in. I mean, I think it took 11 years, right? And this is the first film that I made as a filmmaker. That personal, internal struggle of like, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know enough about this. That's kind of, self-doubt, I think, played on me for 11 years. It's not good enough. I don't have enough money. All these excuses are very readily available to just grab and kind of justify why you're not doing it. And then I met Michael Banks. He's our producer right here. He cast me in his film, and it was a feature film. And I mean, he was just so like, yeah, I'm just doing it. And, like he just was so like all in that it really inspired me. And I sent him my script, and he read it and literally called me. He's like, "Let's make it." And I just said, "Okay," and we just did it. And it's finally like I just kind of took that step off the cliff. And then once you do, you figure all that stuff out. Like we just kind of sat together and we figured it all out with my wife Rachel. And it was really cool to just see all of these things that I just never thought I'd be able to do or understood. It just kind of, you figure it out and it comes together.
Not everybody figures it out, so it's a
True.
testament to you.
Yeah. But I do think if you take that leap, anybody could figure it out. It's just about that self-doubt stopping you.
Right, but not everybody can. That's the point I'm making. You should be proud of yourself that you did something.
I think the hardest part with our film was convincing the family that it was worth the time and effort, which was surprising to me. And on that point too, you have to believe in it. I keep telling people you have to believe if you're trying to make a story, you have to believe in it more than anyone else, because there's going to be times where no one else will believe in it. And it wasn't until we actually sat down with the family and did these interviews, they're like, "Oh, maybe there is a story here." And so that was surprisingly one of the biggest hurdles, was just convincing everyone to see what I saw. So yeah.
I think challenges for us with it being such a personal story that had its own huge challenge to really overcome. It's one of those things where, I'm kind of spearhead of all this, of anything Team Vienna and Vienna. So, and then to ask my family, our 2 surviving kids, and my husband to say, okay, on this day in August, you need to be ready to talk about the most tragic thing that ever happened in our life. That was very challenging, And I thought our director, Marco, did an amazing job of writing great questions and things like that. But still, and to go and answer them, like that was really challenging. And I know, I deal with this, we all deal with the loss of Vienna every single day. But for me, I talk about it way more than they do. And it's a conscious decision for me to do it. And also it's a part of me. Like we were talking before, 99% of my wardrobe that I wear since she died is a Vienna shirt. A Team Vienna, I have many, many different colors of them. So. But that was definitely a big challenge with us, and having our kids who are now, they're now 15 and almost 13. Vienna should be 10, but to have them on screen essentially, and for those who saw the film, you see my then 13-year-old the tears streaming down her face. That's real. because this is probably the first time that she really, really talked about that night. The first time since it happened in 2017, and now it's whatever, it's 3 years ago or so. So it's definitely making everything so personal and knowing what to share, what not to share. Sometimes I didn't know how public I wanted to be with everything. Even after it happened, creating a nonprofit, I didn't even tell anybody I was a physician. Like, I don't go around telling people that's what I do. We're all human beings first. I don't ever lead with that. And it wasn't until my husband and other people said, Denise, you need to make sure people know about your medical background, because that's going to probably elevate it more. And I think it has. So that's the only reason I ever bring that up is because of that. Because we're all human beings first. But I think that'll hopefully just get the word out even better. But it was hard to know what to share and what not to share. It being such a personal thing. And one other thing with trying to decide the footage to send to them. I mean, of course, as a mom, I love all the pictures. I mean, us as parents, we love all the pictures and the videos of all of our kids. Now to say, hey, look, we're going to do a short documentary. Oh my gosh, good luck. Choosing what's going to be in there. So I didn't even know until I saw the first cut of what they even chose. But there was this one part which I didn't even know that I sent him. I think I sent it to them and for our editor by accident, and it was a very intimate moment where it was like the first time that our two older kids met Vienna as a little baby for the first time. She was 1 day old. And I was there like in the hospital bed, just looking how I'm looking, and these two little cute ones running in like, oh, Vienna, big sister, big brother. We got that on film, and that made it into the film, but I didn't even remember sending that piece to the editor. So, but it clearly, I think it made a big impact with that. So,
Yeah, I mean, so with Cascades, there was a lot of challenges in the writing and all the things that people have talked about, but I think what I'll talk about is something a little different. When I was writing it, I wanted to write a walk and talk, and it's a very heavy, serious movie, and honestly, if you just read the script, you could say, well, this could be shot anywhere. It could be shot in a kitchen or a dining room. It's just two people talking. And I made the decision to have them walking and talking. So they're on a walk, and they're walking through the woods, throughout the majority of the film. And when I was writing it, I read it to a writing workshop group, and somebody raised their hand, and she said she was a producer, and she said, you should not make it this way. You do not know what you're getting into with doing a walk and talk. And I was like, I'm a camera guy, I've operated gimbal, no problem. And I just waved it away. Well, when we started shooting, it did not occur to me that an entire crew walking backwards in the woods for 2 days straight might be, with changing sun, because I do B-roll for here's a 20-second clip, how much of a challenge that would be. And it was so much of a challenge that we ended up having to do an entire day of reshoots. So if you take a 3-day film and you turn it into a 4-day film, that's the difference, in my world, that was the difference between a $15,000 project and a $20,000 project. So it was a very costly series of challenges, let's we say. I don't want to say mistakes, though some might have been made. So one of the big things I learned is to properly, to really interrogate the decisions that you're making. And now, I would not do it any other way. I wouldn't redo it. I wouldn't change it. I would just plan my finances a little bit better, so I didn't get caught with this kind of surprise. Also, is this being shown on the internet? It might be. Anyway, okay. So also, you have to make sure that the crew is in complete sync. And in most cases on my films, the crew is in complete sync. But there were a couple of cases here where we were not. And you have to have the right collaborators in the right roles. And sometimes you might have the right person, but in the wrong role. And that was a big lesson that I learned on this film. And also, different films require different things. So something that's shot entirely like in a house or in like a physical place that's protected and doesn't have sun and changing scenery, weather and whatever, might have different crew requirements than something that's shot in the middle of the woods. Also, shooting in the middle of the woods, pain in the ass. Don't do it if you don't have to. We needed a battery at one point. We didn't have enough batteries. So now somebody has to run 20 minutes out of the woods and then run 20 minutes back into the woods and call us because they couldn't find the battery on the end. It's just those kind of things can really, really challenge a set. And in this case, it did challenge our set, and it created more stress than I normally like on our set. in the end, I'm thrilled with what we got. I love the movie that we got, but it was tough. It was like really, really hard to make this movie. Some shoots are harder than others.
Yeah, we shot on open water. So I hear the woods, the nature, the weather. The first day we show up with this crew.
His is more difficult than mine.
We show up with the crew from New York City who's like hopping off the Long Island Railroad with like half a suitcase with the camera and everything's like flying around. It's pouring rain. And we arrive to the parking lot to start filming the swimmers, all of whom have never been on a camera before. So they're like, what's this? Who are these people? What's going on? We're using a drone. Everyone's like, what is this bird above my head? And then the drone can't fly if there's no like sun or a certain amount of, you know, fog or rain. Or so now the drone, we're like throwing it in the water. It could very well sink. Everything's going wrong. But then the second day when we were out on open water, while extremely challenging, we had 4 cameras going at once. I had an iPhone paddling with one hand as backup. We had our DP on land getting the swimmers coming in. We had a drone going out over the swimmers on the water. And then we had a swimmer with a GoPro on her head, sort of capturing what it's like to do the swim that is covered in the film. And that was just absolutely thrilling because we all, as the people who are telling the story of this group, we actually got to experience what they all speak about in their interviews. We got to feel it. So it's not just, you know, cobbling together interviews and throwing some B-roll over it. To actually experience what the swimmers felt, although challenging and wet and among many other things, I think is what made the film have the heart that it does. So we embraced the challenge, but it was certainly challenging.
Looks like you want to say something.
Don't ever shoot in the bathroom. I did, you know, because I'm acting as well, so I'm talking to my DP, I'm acting, I'm touching my face, and and then later on that day I'm sick, and I have to go back the next day and shoot it, and you're not really thinking, and then I'm reading the script and going, why did I write this? Why did I write this? I mean, we're happy with the end product, but yeah, never shoot in the bathroom, and then I forgot to tell my PA to tell the office workers not to come in. So we're filming, this lady walks in, she goes, what the hell are y'all doing? And I'm like, I'm on the toilet doing my scene. I'm like, we're filming the movie. She goes, I don't give a F, get out. I gotta don't ever shoot in the bathroom.
So for those of you taking notes at home, don't shoot in the woods. Don't shoot in the bathroom.
Don't shoot in water.
No, you should shoot in the woods. But just know it's going to be really hard. But we are crazy people. Like, only filmmakers do this kind of stuff.
So I'll kind of jump into a different part of it. I think what Brian was saying about the right people in the right roles, like if you have a great AD, your set will run really well and things will be smooth because you're going to make sure you have the extra batteries and that everybody's on time and all of that fun stuff. But then you get into post-production, and if you're not executive producing your own shoot, there may be differences of opinions. And what do we cut? What do we keep? And it can go on a long time. I would say that post-production on this one was probably a good 2 months longer than I expected it to be. But when it finally comes together, when all of the pieces finally fall into place, you're like, okay, we've got something. But it's being on the same page, knowing that you want ultimately the same goal is important.
I can just chime in. So we shot a feature in 6 days for $15,000 with 7 cast members.
Insane, remember?
And Shauna, who, like, Shauna's my producer, it's like putting together a puzzle. Like, different people have different schedules. Some of these actors were going on touring groups, touring companies. And so, like, any little change can cascade through the entire damn shoot and just ruin everything. And we had a location dropout, or not dropout, but they pushed our shoot to like 11 p.m., which is an ungodly hour for me. I have 2 kids at home, and I'm not going to start a shoot at 11 p.m., as crazy as we are. So we had to then find a new location, and it made a long day even longer. We like started at 7 a.m. versus starting at 10. So it's just this constant. It's almost like the universe doesn't want you to make it, and you're fighting against it at every turn, being like, any little change can collapse this, like, you know, this tower. So yeah, that's the biggest challenge is the mathematics of scheduling when you have very few days and very little money.
That's what I call going into indie producer. You can do it in any part of your life because you've got it here.
Yes.
I'm going to add one more thing that was a challenge. Talking about locations and stuff, so obviously open water, woods, bathroom and stuff. I mean, we shot at a bar, which to me sounds like it would be easy. Not easy at all. First of all, really hard to find a bar, which sounds ridiculous because there's so many of them, but just finding one that will let you shoot there that's, I mean, has the look that you want and stuff is one thing, and there's also just so many options, it's like, how do you go even choose? But the hardest part, which we didn't really think about, is bars have windows, and this movie takes place at night. And not only that, bars need to make money, so they're usually open at night. So we had to show up, and we would get there early in the morning every day, and we had to be out by 5 p.m. for them to open, and we had to have everything cleared out. So we'd have to get there, we'd have to black out all of the windows, we'd have to do our whole production design every day. We were there for 4 days, and then we'd also have to shoot as much as we could, and then break everything down, and get it completely out before 5 per our contract every single day that we were there, which was really difficult to do. And also just really made it so that we had to be speaking to the first AD point. We had an amazing first AD. And I mean, they kept us on schedule because we really did not have time to sit around and get some extra takes, and like everybody really had to be tight. So yeah, I mean, even like something as simple to me that sounded easy, like a bar, was not easy at all.
So I think one thing that runs through a lot of the discussion so far, so we might as well address it head on, is, so if someone has an idea, I want to make a film, to get from there to actually shooting a film involves planning and money, right? So, and usually some of you do it yourself, some of you have other people help you. I wonder if you could talk about that journey a little bit, like how did you fund your film, and how did you go about producing it? Did you find someone to do it yourself, you know, things like that? So again, anyone could just jump in, and I don't want it to be robotic that we're always going in the same line.
I mean, I found the office really easy. My close-up Beth Sucker, she's a great location, so that was easy. She helped me with the insurance as well, so that was easy. The only thing that was tough was that it was really the sound stuff, because we're in the bathroom, which I didn't think about. Like, okay, I'm in a stall and it echoes. I didn't think about that until we're on set, and I'm like, oh. So, you know, you gotta do ADR and stuff like that. So it was just that, you know, the location was easy. The filming dates was really good. It was supposed to be just a 5-minute episode, and then after we left, like, we gotta do more episodes. We had to write stuff on the fly and stuff like that. But yeah, that was it. You know, it was just that not thinking about being in the bathroom stall and how it's going to mess up your sound, and then, you know, spend a lot of your money with ADR and sound design, which I did not think about. So.
Was that at the same point? Or was that at the same
Oh no, I left by it. I left
So I would say that, like, when it comes to financing these films, everybody always asks this question, and it's the question that I always feel like completely ill-equipped to answer. But like, my approach is different than many other filmmakers that I know on the circuit. Like, I'm a freelance video like producer, writer, director, like anything that you need, I will do to make money, you know, using cameras. And what I do is
You might want to qualify.
Okay. So I have never done porn. But any kind of like corporate video, nonprofit video, church video, you know, whatever. And I take a lot of work that I really don't want to take. And I wake my ass up at 5 or 6 in the morning to drive to Stamford, Connecticut, or New York City, or wherever. And what I have discovered is that I can make money by taking crappy video jobs easier than I can by begging my friends and family to donate to my Seed and Spark. And that's for me. So every time I get an inquiry about a job that I don't want to do, which honestly is all of them these days because I just want to make movies, but every time I get an inquiry, I say yes, and I throw a high number at them. and I get enough people to pay the high number, and I have a couple of like regular clients, and I really don't like the work that I'm doing at all. But they're like okay people, and they pay. So I just take that work, and and anything that's like above and beyond what I would need to like, and also like I'm old now, and my kids are grown, and the mortgage is paid, so I don't have some of the expenses that younger filmmakers might have. But I just take all my discretionary income, and 100% of it goes into filmmaking, or traveling for filmmaking. Like that's where all my money goes these days. And that's a bad answer because a lot of people are like, well, I can't do that. I've got 3 kids at home.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I had 3 kids at home one time. I get it. But if you live long enough, you will eventually not have 3 kids at home.
One can hope.
I would just argue that that's actually a good answer, because it's not your responsibility to solve people's problems, it's your responsibility to give your experience that people now have data that they can process and put that all together. So that's a good answer.
Well, thank you.
There you go.
Listen up, people.
Get over.
Now you've crossed the line. Funding, producing, getting your movies made. Any other?
Yeah, we had a crew of 4 total, and all of which were friends. Like 3 of us went to college together. My really great friend Honora, she produced the film. She's an athlete. She rode at LIIFE. She was on the basketball team at Calhoun and Merrick. Like we grew up together, and we both were working 9-to-5 jobs during the filming. We would shoot until 9, like 7 to 9, and then I'd like hop on the train, get to work. It's similarly, take odd jobs to help fund. And in terms of the post funding, submitting to film festivals, what we're exploring now is trying to see if we can maybe, sponsor some screenings from local restaurants, like get in-kind, dinner at a movie, finding just ways to engage our community and raise money at the same time, rather than posting on my Facebook and Indiegogo and having like 3 family members give $50. Like that's awesome, but where does it go? So we're trying to think in ways of sponsorship. We're thinking in ways of just unconventional. We want to do a Chipotle fundraiser night, which is like a big thing high schools do. But the thing is, like all my friends are going to go to Chipotle, get a burrito, and say they're with West Landing. They're not going to give $100 on some random, donor site. So we're thinking in unconventional ways in the post world. But in the terms of making the film itself, we were all friends, and we just wanted something new on our resume. We wanted to have something we're proud of. We wanted to go around festivals together and have that experience. So we all kind of just joined in on that, and it's about trusting the people that you're with. We got lucky. So.
For our film, I self-funded the film myself, but we got a lot of great talented people. I'm an actor first and foremost. I've been acting for 16 years, and I've met a lot of great actors along the way who were kind enough to come work for free in our project, and they're friends along the way that really believed in the script and loved the role, which I think went a long way. But really, from the producing side, me and Michael and my wife Rachel, we started producing on December 1st of 2023. And we did not shoot until April of 2024, so we gave ourselves a lot of time. And I think that was huge for us. Like, we really could find the right people. We got to do a lot of interviews. We were able to find really talented people, but I think the big thing for us was good people that we liked to work with and that we wanted to be a part of this project. And we built this awesome team, which really helped everyone. Like, every single person was so good at their job that it made it easy on me as a first-time director, on us. And I think, honestly, the hardest part about producing, Mike took the lead on this, but we used a Radiohead song, Creep, for the movie. Very fitting with the title. And that was probably the hardest thing that we had to do, was get the rights to that song, which I've never really thought about. They don't own the rights. So 4 different companies own the rights. Nobody knows who owns the rights. We negotiated for 2 months with a company who kept trying to up our price, and we're negotiating. Finally, we get them to agree to a number that was higher than we wanted, and then everybody else's percentage now goes up because they all own a part of the film. And then after that, they're like, oh yeah, it turns out we don't own those rights. And I was like, and I was like, see who does? They're like, I don't know. So it was really tough. It took literally the full, probably 10 months of our production to get the rights to that song. Props to Mike because he finally got it done.
If you don't know, you need to get 2 sets of rights for a song. You need to get the rights from the person who wrote the song or the company that now owns the rights.
Yes.
And then you have the company that owns the recording of the song.
Yep.
And that, especially over time, that's an older song, could have moved around.
And even those are split up. So
Yes.
like
Yes.
the synchronization rights, somebody owns 17%, somebody owns 60%, and so then you have to find all those companies, and they all have to agree to whatever the dollar value is that their percentage would give them. And if they don't like that, they want more money, then everybody gets more money because it's all tied in that way. Tough.
That's a challenge.
I would say piggybacking off of that too, like there's no like right way to finance your project, and if you have a community that you think you can crowdfund and you get it that way, like sure. But I'd say a lot of my mentors have self-funded, and I've been self-funded for the last houseboat. Just don't expect it to be done in a few months. You know, a lot of these projects take years because it's like, okay, well we have X amount we can put in production right now or post-production, and it takes time because you're self-funding it, and you may not always have the finances that you want at that time. So just keep that in perspective that a lot of people who can self-fund it, it's just going to take longer than they would maybe like it for it to be finished. So.
Yeah, I would say, so I wasn't the producer on Her Turn, and it was her first time producing, and she was able to do a successful crowdfunding because it was the first time going to that well. 9 years ago, 10 years ago, when I did my first short film, I was able to successfully crowdfund. I'm really reluctant to go back to those same people again until it's really worth it. So in the meantime, I've had things that I've had people come in as executive producers and put money into it. I've done things for like no money where I directed and wrote and edited, and like it cost under $1,000 because I was doing most of the jobs myself. I mean, you find ways to do, depending on what the project is and what your timeline is. If you want to do something now, you figure out how can I do this, and maybe make the project smaller so that you can get something done, or find investors who believe in your vision and want to be part of the ride. And yeah, everyone is different.
Yeah, I wanted to add like 2 really quick things. One is that, and everybody has different philosophies about this, and I respect however any other producer chooses to do it. But in my case, I have no shame, and I will beg anybody to work on my movie for free. And I know people that they sort of stand in ceremony, and again, I'm not judging them. It's going to sound like I am, but I'm not really. But they're like, well, I paid everybody on my film, and I know somebody recently who took a mortgage out on his house to make his short film, and it was really important to him to pay every single person like a market rate on his film, and I would just never do that. There are too many people who want to be, this is art, people, and we do art because we love it, not because we're going to get rich and famous. You know, the amount of people that get rich and famous is like, you know, this many. So I always take favors. I take people who want to work for free. Also, if you develop a really fun, like my sets, even the hardest ones are really fun sets to work on. And they are relatively low stress sets to work on, even though this can be a high stress situation. And when you create a fun working environment, then people want to join you. They want to participate with you. I have more offers for people to help crew than I can actually manage. So that also helps mitigate costs and keep costs lower. And then I had a recent experience where I have he's a kind of famous actor. He's been in a bunch of my work, and we made a film that is about a subject that's important to him, and he co-financed it with me. And that was a huge help because the film was one of my more expensive films to date, and he paid for half of it, and he just wrote me a check. He didn't actually ask for any receipts. He didn't ask where the money was going. He just said how much it's going to cost, and he wrote me a check. And there are people out there who want to be part of, and the part was written for him, so he got to act in it and all that. But there are people out there who have means, want to be part of art, and will help. But you have to do things that will resonate with them and that connect with them.
I think it's just, I'm going to connect some dots, because you had said earlier about the right person for the right role. I think a lot of times people are willing to work on a film because you're giving them an opportunity to do something that they may not have been given an opportunity to do.
Yeah.
So they're excited to be there because maybe they're an assistant camera person and this is the first chance they got to be a DP or something along those lines. So I think that's an important part of what you're saying.
My costume designer was a fashion person in New York, for 20 years, but now she's a costume designer on film. She loves that. My actor is a fairly famous actor, but in the 4 projects we've done together, he's gotten to be in roles that he was never allowed to be in when he was on TV or on Broadway.
Who is the actor you're
James Nunn.
Oh, James Nunn.
Yeah.
Just to comment on that too, so our getting creative about finding these crew members too. So we put an ad out at Mandy, and that's where a lot of our people came from. But I mean, we had some like distinct characters that we wanted a really good hair and makeup artist. Very expensive. All the quotes that we got were way out of our budget. So what my wife thought up to do was she reached out to local makeup schools for referrals of new students that are just trying to get experience and work. And we ended up getting this incredible makeup artist from Argentina, Milena, and she, 1, needed work here for her visa, and 2, just wanted some experience to show for her portfolio, and she was unbelievable. Her work is incredible. And so just going to find school, it could be a film school or stuff like that, to get some people that are just hungry to work.
Be nice to PAs. A lot of acting jobs and directing jobs I have received is PAs I met 10 years ago, 15 years ago. A lot of PAs that I met 10 years ago are working for the film festival now. So you be nice to PAs because you never know. He's a PA today, but tomorrow he could be a director, a writer, producer, and he may be a boss. He may be a boss. So be nice to your PAs.
Probably will.
Yeah, probably will. So be nice to your PAs.
I was thinking the same thing.
We've probably all been PAs at one point.
Yeah, I've been a PA, yeah.
That's also people's assistants if you ever, film
Yeah,
executives. What?
What is
Any, like a film executive's assistant. Yeah, because they're going to be running something.
Oh, yeah.
That helps though. I was an assistant 2 months ago, which is somebody, and it made me very strict about, I didn't have a first AD, so we had such a small crew. It kept me on deadlines. It kept me, realizing what communication forms are successful and what aren't.
Right.
Like how people should and should not be spoken to, all those different pieces. It was a really helpful experience to be in an assistant position and then to move up to a position of leadership, to understand, what works and what doesn't. I think that's actually, if everyone can be an assistant or a production assistant, you learn what you want from a set really well, because you see it all in much more broad strokes than when you're directing or producing, I think.
For us, we only had 4 people, so it was me, and then also Marco, who's our director, producer, and writer of the questions for the interviews, Alex Burke, who's a photographer by trade in the fashion world and things like that, and then he kind of came over to cinematography and did an amazing job, and then Corey O'Neill is our editor, so really, and Marco Albrecht, like I mentioned, was our director, but just very, very small crew, and for us, because it is a nonprofit, Team Vienna, so we had a lot of donations that went directly to the film. A lot of our donations go to research up at Boston Children's Hospital, and we highlight them in our film, and we filmed on location there as well. But so those are donations really to get our film off the ground. And also Carol Stillwell is an amazing person in Jersey. She has funded so many different things in that state. So we're so thankful to get her on board too, to get some more power beneath it. And really, she wanted me to also just not have to worry about the funding part of it, because she's like, Denise, you need to focus on the mission, and so I'm very thankful for her and for everyone else who supported financially. It's been amazing.
For the people who made fiction films, I've always a lot of questions as to how you got your cast, right? What your process was, how you got the people you got. So can you please talk a little bit about casting your films? Mike, why don't you go first, because you already started talking about it a little bit.
Yeah, so I took a lot of actors that I've just known along the way from classes or other shoots and stuff. We auditioned everybody, so we did 126 auditions, and then some Zoom callbacks as well. We put a casting call out for every role, so everybody, even my friends that I knew for a long time, they auditioned, read for roles. And then there were certain characters that I didn't have anybody that fit the exact demographic we were looking for. So we put a casting call out on Backstage, and again, we got a ton of self-tape submissions. And me and Michael and Rachel went through every single one of those, and we brought people in for callbacks that we thought were good, and picked our cast. It was actually one of the first things we did was cast the film, because I really wanted to work, coming from an acting background as a first-time director, work with the actors was what really sparked my interest as a director. So we were able to get some rehearsals in. We did a lot of Zoom rehearsals with our cast, and then we had some in-person stuff as well to get everybody on board. And that time we had.
Was it a SAG shoot or not?
It was not, no.
We had, so the writer and executive producer was the star. She wrote it for herself, but we cast 4 other roles, all who interact with her. We put out a casting call on Actors Access and Breakdown Services, and I went through, we got so many, and in like less than 48 hours, I think, for the daughter's role. If you're ever casting a 20-something woman, like in 48 hours we had 800 submissions for that one role. For the husband, her son, and then her neighbor, like we had well over 2,500 submissions in 48 hours. So I'm trying to limit people. I'm going through and trying to rule people out, trying to typecast, try whatever. If I know them and know they're good, if they have a good reel. And what kept happening, which was kind of funny, because it was her first film as well, but she'd be like, maybe we should see these people too. I'm like, I already ruled them out. She's like, but maybe we should see more. I'm like, you have this set up. Like, she had already set the date before she even had hired me. So everybody was in place. I'm like, we need to cast it. Like, we don't have time to see 100 people. We have time to see 10 people per role. One of the things that was important, she wrote it based on her family and her life. Not 100% true, it's fictionalized, but the son in the piece and her son at home is autistic, and she wanted somebody who truly was autistic to be in that role, to represent that. The daughter is gender fluid, wanted somebody that was truly in that space as well. So finding people who not just were great actors, but also were representative was important. But we did our first, I wanted to do all of the auditions live because I like being in the room with people, but our line producer was having some health issues, so we did the first audition by Zoom, and then had callbacks live, and once we got into the room and started seeing chemistry, it just comes to life.
Was yours a SAG shoot?
It was a SAG shoot, yes.
I took the Adam Sandler approach. I write all of my movies for my friends. A lot of my friends that's in my movies, we went to high school together, North Babylon High School. My best friend Kyle, we met at an acting audition at North Babylon High School. It was the 2 only black guys there, and he was the first student classmate I ever met that had Hollywood dreams like me. So I said, hey, never know when we might work together one day. Years go by, we run into each other, and we've been working ever since. So Beth, that's in Store Buddies, she's on one of my films. Brandon. So yeah, I take the Adam Sandler approach, and I like to see diversity. So I want to see somebody that's black, Hispanic, Asian, Indian, everybody doing comedy together. So all these guys I've known for over 25 years. I just call them, hey man, next summer Store Buddies. All right, I'll see the script in 2 weeks. And we don't rehearse it. We don't, because I know there's strength in comedy and stuff like that. So we just go at it, and we've been blessed that I've been successful with that. So yeah.
And then some.
Yeah. I love SNL. I love Adam Sandler. I love Seth Rogen, how he hires his friends. Hopefully one day when I blow up, I can bring those people with me and give them jobs and pay them, because I haven't paid them in 25 years. It's just
the most important thing that you bring the film to the world.
Yeah, so they all be here today, so they're excited about that. But it just be pizza and Chinese food, and then we're playing Xbox and video games together. So that's about it.
For mine, like, if you've been doing this long enough, you start to develop relationships with actors that you like, and you start to write roles for them. So 5 of the 7 roles were actors we worked with in the past, one of whom was a crew member who had never acted but I thought was really funny on a previous film, Kevin Wolfring, so he was great. The hardest part was our lead. We had to cast the lead. She was in every scene of the movie, and that's a commitment on her part, and also like, you know, when you're working with a new person, you don't know what it's going to be like. You could have a terrible relationship, and like, it's hard to know what it's going to be like when you're spending 8 to 10 hours a day with people for a full week. So we got very lucky. I looked on Backstage. I found an actress named Catherine Meyer, and she was incredible. Like, we got the funding in March of 2024. We were shooting in September. We cast her by April, I want to say, and then she was constantly, like, over those months and weeks, like, emailing me and, like, checking in. And we really built, like, this kind of working relationship even before we got to set. So we just got very lucky, and I think that's part of it. Like, you find people that you really gel with and really work with well, and then you add new people to the mix and hope that they also gel. So yeah, it's a process.
Was it a SAG shoot?
It was not a SAG shoot, no. Very low budget.
One more comment. So extras was another one for us. Whole different game. I mean, as an actor myself, I don't do much extra work. I did early in my career, but it's just not something that gets me excited. And finding people to commit to, you know, sit on set with you all day and just kind of sit there was tough. We had a school scene, so we had probably 15 kids who came, and their parents came, and they were there for hours at this school shoot. But the hard one was really the bar, because we shot for 4 days, all out of sequence, so we needed those people to show up all 4 days for continuity, and there was some wild cards in there, but I think, you know, being good to PAs, like being good to the extras, I made sure to like personally talk to them, was able to give them all, like, let them name their character, let them come up with ideas of who this person is and like kind of feature them, and a few of them, like, we gave them improv opportunities, and it made it into the film. We have one guy, Douglas, who we were just like, we need somebody here to talk to our character at the bar, and so we're like, just, I don't know, just start talking. The line in the script, the character, her friend, says, I'm gonna go smoke a cig, walks outside, and this guy just brilliantly is just like, you should tell your friend to smoking pills. And everybody lost it on set. It was fucking hilarious, and like, we're definitely keeping that. And he was able to talk his way into a speaking role in the film, which was pretty cool. And then also, yeah, like, it's a bar. We only, I think, had 7 extras show up out of the 30 that said that they would be there. Wow.
Yeah.
So we got to set thinking we were having like a nice full bar. Now we have 7 people. So we would shoot different parts of the bar, and then like we'd be like, all right, production designer, like makeup artist, you guys are now sitting at this table and we shoot this, and we're just having like our crew members fill out the rest of the bar.
Wins.
What was that?
So I did a shoot a few years ago that took place in a bar, and one of my actresses showed up with this, she had a small role, speaking role, but she showed up with like 5 wigs. So we stuck her in the background in every other scene because she looked like a different person.
Very cool.
That's awesome. Great idea.
That's a good idea.
I usually write for actors. At this point, I hate casting calls, and I'm hoping I never have to do one. But I have like a wide network, especially I go to a lot of film festivals. I've met tons of actors at film festivals. Half of my current crew is people that I've met at or via film festivals. My typical casting approach is I'm usually writing for 1 or 2 actors. In this particular film, this piece was written for these 2 actors specifically. And I wanted to work with them. They liked each other. We were in a writing group together in the city. So they were always going to play these parts, but my typical process is if I don't know somebody who's right for the role, then I actually go out to my network, like literally on Facebook. I'll be like, film festival friends, I need a white woman, 30 years old, red hair, whatever's I need. Who knows, actors who fit this profile, and then I'll have them do like self tapes, and go. But then I'm dealing with like 3 people instead of 300 people, which I just can't even like wrap my head around how I'm gonna tell the difference, of 300 people. I just don't feel like I have the time to weed through that many, auditions. And it's not fair to people because people submit. Everybody who submits wants to do it, And if then I just don't look at 90% of the people who submitted, that's like not too fair to them, you know. That's just sort of my way of looking at it.
Woody Allen once said, I think that 90% of directing is casting, so that's all right. So one last question before I open up the floor to questions from the audience, and that is, quickly, someone comes up to you and says, I'm making my first film. What's the one piece of advice you're going to give?
Lay down until the feeling goes away.
I would say go home and watch the movie Bowfinger, because that is going to be your experience making a movie. It's going to be a wild ride. So watch Bowfinger, and after you watch Bowfinger, you know what to do.
One of my favorite movies.
I would say two things. Surround yourself with people who are better at this than you are, who know more than you do, who are smarter than you are. And first two people to hire is a good AD and a good line producer.
Yeah.
If you're not having fun with it, don't do it.
I'd say give yourself a lot of time. In pre-production, give yourself time to really put all those pieces in place.
So take notes from people, like talk to people about it. Like it's a lot of, especially if you're a writer-director, we become very attached to the things that we've written, and then we make something, and in the end, we're like, why doesn't this work? It was going to be brilliant, and we fall short of our own brilliance. But I have run into so many cases where I have done this, and I have lots of friends who've done it, where we don't listen. We think we know our story, and the truth is, other people will also know our story. And if one person gives me a note, well, I can take it or leave it. If two people give me a note, the same note, I better listen. And if three people give me a note, I need to do something. And if you don't, then you're fooling yourself, and you're going to have a bad movie. Like, it's really, I think it's as simple as that.
I would say don't give up. I mean, I'm a first timer, and just don't give up. And if you have a passion for something, just to go after it. And I know what I did was, since I didn't have any idea about film, I was really a moviegoer. I would go and watch films in a movie theater. That was my background in film. And so just really thinking in my head of all different friends of friends who potentially could just give me advice. So honestly, for a good couple of years, I just talked to a bunch of different people and just got advice. And just, brainstorming, should it be a feature, should it be short? Like, if it's longer than 20 minutes or just 20, is anyone really going to watch a film about childhood death? It needs to be short, it needs to be powerful, and every second needs to count. So I'd say, like, not to give up.
Yeah, don't take anything for granted. That's the biggest thing I learned, especially because, editing as well. You have to be so meticulous. I'd watch it 5 times in a row, and I'd hear one tiny bit of sound that was like 10% too loud, and I'd go back and I'd fix it. Like, nothing was like, oh, it's okay, let it fly. That's my biggest piece of advice, because then it's going to fill your heart the most if no stones are left unturned. That's what I learned.
I was thinking to overplan, to overthink, and work harder than anybody, because nobody wants you to make your movie. Like, nobody cares about your movie. I know we're all here and we're supporting each other, but no one cares more about your movie than you.
Yes.
Even like when you go to the multiplex, you're like, I don't know if I want to see that. So like, you really have to like push yourself and work super hard and like almost factor in every possible thing that can go wrong before you do it. Make a detailed shot list, even if you can pick music beforehand to kind of pre-cut in your head a scene, and like get what you need on that day and then move on, because like there's no time, like especially when you're making something low budget, like there's no time to mess around. Like, when you're there and people are looking at you and you're the one who has to have the answers, you better have the answers, because otherwise you're wasting everybody's time. And so just overthink and overwork and push yourself as hard as possible.
That was Mel Brooks' advice. He said, if someone asks you a question as a director, give them an answer. Never say, I don't care.
Yeah.
Blue or yellow? Blue.
Yep.
Why?
Well, people also want to know that you have a vision. Like, nobody wants to work this hard for somebody that doesn't really know what they're doing or what they want to do. So even if you don't know exactly what you're doing, surround yourself with people, as others have said. But I think that you have to have conviction, and you have to know why you're making this thing. people often say, this story had to be told. And I'm like, no, it didn't. It's like crazy. That story definitely didn't need to be told. Tons of those movies. But why do I have to tell this story? That's really what it's saying, is that I have to tell this story. And your crew, your cast, the people who are working for you, and they are working for you even if you're not paying them 1 cent, they have to believe that you know why you're making this thing. And that's how I think it's part of like how you inspire people. I also think that there's like practiced stress management. It's really easy to get like stressed out on set. And it's really easy to go into these like states where you don't really fully understand what's going on. But that's the fastest way to like alienate your casting crew. Like, so ahead of time, you have to like really practice that when the stress comes, and it will come, there's gonna be something that's gonna happen, something that's gonna go wrong, somebody blows their lines for the 10th take in a row, whatever. You have to figure out how to be Grace under pressure. And that's how you find people that want to work with you. And that's also how people will have your back. If you're like ranting and raving and yelling and or you don't say anything, you're just like emitting a vibe, like a bad vibe, they will feel that and it will kill your movie. So be positive.
Some of the best ideas can come from the smallest voices or like you were saying, the extra had a line, you know, like it's a collaborative experience. Like when you get to the point when you're at a festival like this, it's no longer your film. Everyone's had their hands in it. So, you know, be a good listener, and you never know where an idea is going to come from on set, on the edit, wherever it is.
Some great advice. Seriously. All right, questions for our filmmakers? Yes, sir.
How do we get to see the films that have already screened? There seems to be a lot of rules when it comes to film festivals, when you can and can't watch them. Is there a way? I've heard fascinating stories, one of which I've heard and seen before. So, and a couple that haven't screened yet, I'm looking forward to. The ones that already have, are we able to access them in a certain way? How do we do that?
It's probably different for everybody. Like if you come up to me afterwards, I'll give you a link to watch my movie.
Yeah, same thing. I'll send you a private link. Yeah.
That's easy. That's
This way, yeah.
If you like, we have like website, and like people can put their information. So when it is public, we'll send it out to everyone to information for that too. Hopefully, people are able to send links to as well for their films.
Right.
And it's a great thing now is once you're done with your festival run, if there's going to be distribution, great. And if there isn't distribution, you can distribute it yourself on YouTube. So there's always that option.
Like my films typically run like 1.5 to 2 years on the festival circuit, and then they are public on my YouTube and my Vimeo channels.
Okay.
So like if you have my website, redshoefilm.com, and in case you want mind-numbing video to be made so that I can make money to make movies, but I put everything, there's like a section on there that says short films, and as they wrap their festival runs, they're on my website and on YouTube.
Great. Thank you.
Good question. Other questions?
So like I've sat in on casting sessions, but I also have friends who are actors that have trouble getting work for whatever the reasons are. From your experiences, like something, because I'm sure you've done this more than I've sat in on the sessions, is if you were to give advice to actors from your experience of going through so many actors, is there something that you would find like a skill or something about them other than maybe just like the right fit that maybe actors can work better on, like to kind of help whittle that down a little bit better, so it's not so much like oversaturation?
Yeah. What I do tell my acting friends is learn how to write. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not waiting for nobody to cast me. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna sit down and write a script. Don't know how to write a script? Watch a movie, create a movie, print it out, and just follow. Just write your own stuff, because nobody's gonna cast you for the roles that you really want. You know what I'm saying? I'm not the leading man, but I know I can be, so I'll write it, and then I'll show them, like, oh, okay, you can act. Yeah, I've been trying to tell you, but you know. So just write it, produce it, direct it. I saw an interview with Tom Cruise. He was like, learn about lenses. You know what I'm saying? Learn about lenses. Learn about other departments that's in film and everything. Just don't be a performer. You know what I'm saying? You're just not a performer. You're a writer. You're a director. You're an editor. You have all those skills in you. You just got to do it.
I think also if you can find a way to be on the other side of the table as a reader, just sit in on somebody's auditions, demystifying the process. The truth is that when I'm casting, I want you to be right. I want my job to be done. I want somebody to come in and blow my socks off. And what you start to see is that most people make very safe choices. They're not making specific choices, they're not making personal choices. And like, if I sit through 10 auditions for a role, or 50, or 100, 99 of them will be exactly the same. And we're talking with SAG actors, people who are experienced, who are good, and you're like, yeah, that'd be fine, yeah, that'd be fine, yeah, that'd be fine. And somebody comes in and does something unique, and shows you something in that role that you weren't expecting, or that you were hoping to see but haven't yet, and you're like, oh, yeah, let's do that again. And it makes a difference because they all start to blend together, which is probably why Brian says he doesn't love the casting process, because it is a lot
I
of...
said it on Broadway casting sessions, and it's like, you have to be the triple threat, like going in, like,
Yeah.
otherwise.
And it's
completely different.
I personally, going back to when I was an actor and as a director, self-tapes are a trap. A lot of actors think that they're great because, oh, you get to see so many more people, and we're not sitting through 10 minutes of 1,000 people. We're looking at the first 20 seconds if you're lucky. And what I see is even with good actors who I know, they fall into traps. They play it safe. They don't. People start to get hung up. I know a lot of casting directors who do workshops have given the advice of being off book. Great, be off book. But what I start to see is a lot of people who are working on memorization and not on character, not on intentions and desires and needs and the things that make it work. If I see you trying to, I don't want to look down at my paper. Like, look at the paper. I don't care if you're off book. We're not on set yet. Show me the character. Show me your need. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
I would say I have 3 things in particular that come to mind, especially as an actor first. Like, my number one thing is go out there and get the best training you can find. Constantly train. I meet so many actors that either have never trained and they're just showing up because their family told them, hey, you should be an actor, you have a great personality, or whatever it is, and they just show up and don't have any background in doing this. And I mean, it's an art form, it's a craft. You know, it's like anything else. You wouldn't just pick up a cello and then go audition for an orchestra. Like, it's just, people kind of treat acting like it's not an art form like all the other art forms. It kind of disrespects it. So I'd say find the best teachers you can find, and continue to find new teachers, because everybody has their own methodology. Everybody has different things that you can pull from. So I've been acting for 16 years. I'm still taking new classes with new teachers constantly. I would say that's number one. Number 2, you mentioned self-tapes. That's obviously where the world has gone to after COVID. So in that training, find a very good on-camera audition class that works. Do it virtually so you have to self-tape, because there's so many little details that you can learn. I did it with a casting director in LA, which was great because I got exposure to a casting director in LA. But at the same time, she was able to tell me all the different things that people do wrong, and also show me all the things that I'm doing wrong currently when I would submit a self-tape in the class. And it really helped get it in. And watching the self-tapes that we watched for our film, there's a lot of things that people like technically did wrong, which even if the acting was great, just plants a little seed in your head that maybe, you know, they're just not as experienced. If they get to set, they won't be prepared, and it just gives you a seed of doubt that you might go with somebody else instead. And then probably forgot the third one. How to do it what you said there. You sparked a third idea in my head, but if I think of it, I'll let you know.
Well, I'll stall for a second. You buried the lead a little bit because you said, well, aside from being the right type,
There's always that one that you go, oh, it's going to be that one.
No, I produced a film where I think we saw over 120 people for the lead, and 70 of the ones we saw were good enough actors. So I mean, it's like the director was looking for a very specific profile, and we're not talking demographic, we're not talking about height, we're not talking about race, we're not talking about anything. We're just talking about this quality. It was really a combination of 2 things that's hard to find together. And most actors can't play that. It doesn't mean they're bad actors.
Right.
So all of those actors, the 119, actually all 120, because the person who ended up getting it had actually auditioned for a different role. So of the 120 people we saw, like, you know, they didn't have a chance, and it's not their fault, right? It's just like sometimes you're looking for something, right? Especially for a bigger part.
Right.
So it's like, I think from a psychological point of view, what actors have told me is you just need to have the next mentality, right? I go in, I do the best I can, next, when's the next audition? And if they call, and if they don't, they don't. And I know it's easier to say that, I've never been an actor, but I've always been on the other side of the audition. But it's I think you have to look at it the way, because it's true. It's most likely not you, unless of course it's you. The things that might stop you. But for most people, it's not you. So you know.
But I actually sparked what it was real quick. What it is be yourself. Like that.
Yeah.
Stop trying to think about what the person on the other side wants, and just show what you can bring. And you might change their mind about what they want. Stop
Right.
trying to figure out what they want.
And piggybacking on that, so sometimes we don't know what we want until we see it.
Right.
The very first thing I directed 20 years ago, a theater piece out in LA, during callbacks, the two people who ended up having the leads were called back for the opposite roles and did like different combinations of people, and I kept coming back to these two guys, but it wasn't quite right. I'm like, wait, switch roles, and all of a sudden, boom, it was magic. And I, like going into it, the reason they came in for those roles was the description fit them. What I thought I wanted in those roles was this, but as soon as they switched, that's when the magic happened.
Bring something else.
Yeah, and it's like you never really know until you see it. Even with, and for me, callbacks are often chemistry, and then not in romantic way, but just life. And you see the people together, and you're like, oh yeah. So, and that's where that waiting time in getting back to people, it's like, oh, I love these two people together. If they both accept, then we'll cast this person as the daughter, and if we cast this person as the daughter, this guy should be the brother. But if this is not the mother, then we need to cast this because this chemistry with, and so it becomes that puzzle of putting those pieces together. It's really very little that you as an actor can control other than being present and yourself.
I tell actors two like really simple things. One is, and runs across the board, even highly experienced actors. I tell them, be good listeners, because the moment I see you thinking about your next line, I can see that. So you need to actually be listening to your scene partner, not rehearsing for when your line comes up. It's something that's an immediate no, like from me. So be good listeners. The other thing I tell actors is, anytime you think there's anger, play it as hurt or pain. Because I'm so sick as a director of actors that come in and and again, highly experienced actors, and they start yelling or they start delivering anger and they think that they're heightening it. And I'm like, do exactly the opposite. That's for me, so it may not apply to anybody else here. It's one of the challenges. But I think that it's what I think Melissa said earlier on. It's like somebody who takes the less conventional choice. So if the words look like anger to you on the page, play them as something other than anger.
I know money's a major factor, but some of the best projects that come to you is no money sometimes. I had a movie called Screenwalkers that I got casted in. It was shot on VHS. It's a 90s slasher film. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was a cool idea. It's not the type of movie that a lot of people would jump on, but it's a cool idea. It's like Scream meets Stephen King's Walkers, and they mix it together and a mask. Well, that movie opened doors for me where I'm at HorrorCon signing autographs and posters and stuff like that, and I'm getting movie roles, and I'm sitting there working a 9 to 5, and I'm signing autographs. I'm like, this movie? They're like, yeah, we love this movie. They got the masks in stores right now, Halloween stores that they made and stuff like that. It wasn't, it wasn't a movie that's, it's going to put me out there with, the top agents or studios. But it just skyrocketed my career where, at the point where I'm walking in the store and somebody goes, Detective Joe Penny. And I'm like, what? Yeah. So you just, don't let, I know, we want to get paid, but money can't be the motivation. Sometimes it'll be that project, you're like, really? And it'll be that project that will kick you off and open doors that you never think.
And treat every job like a future job application too.
Yeah.
That's why I tell people, like, if you have a bad attitude on this set, Brian's not gonna have you on the next one, like.
And we talk.
Yeah. So
we all know the same people.
Yeah.
We all know the same people. And another thing, if you're an actor and you have a movie in a film festival, go to that film festival.
Yeah.
Go see your movie because they're watching your work in real time. I have gotten jobs just sitting in the audience. They're like, that's you? Hey man, I like your performance. Here's my card. Let's talk. And I've gotten jobs. I haven't auditioned in 3 years. I've just been going to film festivals, networking, meeting PAs and stuff like that, and doing little projects. And those projects become big projects, and doors has opened up. So sometimes it's, like I said, be nice to the PAs, and you know, those be motivated by money, and you know, things will happen for you. Things will happen.
Same, jumping on that too. Same what I said with taking the best classes you can find. Those best classes are going to have great actors, and those actors are also producing their own work, and they have projects coming up. I mean, he talked about casting your friends in it. You met somebody at an acting class, and boom, look, he's in a movie right now because of that. So like, you create your own opportunities with your own networking by getting out and meeting these people.
Yes, sir.
Hi.
Hey, what's up?
I have a question about, I assume many, as directors, you're also mostly your own screenwriters, or would you say? So tell me about how much of the screenwriting that you did, the actual script you wrote, became the film you made, or was it wildly different, or was it pretty much what you wrote?
Mine was almost 100% what I wrote. I would say there was like 2 scenes, small things that got cut, and pretty much everything else we got almost exactly what was put on the page.
Is that true for everybody?
Yeah, likewise. I'd say 95.
I'll say 95. I think things kind of change when you're in the editing room. You're like, I like this joke, but they may get us in trouble. You know, let's just cut. You know what I'm saying? Let's just cut that out. You know, just be safe. But no, I'll say 95% of Store Buddies from the script is still on screen. So yeah,
That's hard. That's encouraging.
Having said that, though, I know many films that got completely. That feature I did, the entire first 20 minutes is different than reordered and voiceover put in and stuff. I mean, you have to do what you. Editing is another opportunity to write the film.
Yeah, like for me, this film that played here, Cascades, is 99% what was on the page. But I've had other films that were radically altered. You know, I had one film where I literally created a scene with ADR and alternate shots. It wasn't a big scene, but to fill in some gaps that were missing. Another film was completely reordered, you know, and dialogue cut and things change, and you know, so it depends.
And how much leeway do you give the actor to kind of improv off the
0.
what you've written?
I want it word perfect.
Okay.
And if they are going to make it, there's only one actor that I've worked with that I actually ever use any of his improv. Boyd Gaines, he's an amazing actor, and when he often will change little things here and there, and I always use his changes. But something about Boyd where it works, but nobody else, I'm like, no, let's go back and do it the way it's written. I'll let you try it as an actor. I'll let them try it, but I never use it.
But again, there are examples of the opposite of that as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed letting my actors improvise sometimes. I mean, we would always shoot the script, get the scenes exactly as written, but then on another take, if they had an idea or if we wanted to riff a little bit, especially because I was in every single scene, so I was the one acting across from them, I would give them opportunities to improvise, and we came up with some great lines through that.
But you guys are out by 5.
Next question, I thought I said yes.
So Brian and Stephen mentioned their budgets, but in the interest of transparency, I want to know if anyone is willing to share what their film budget was.
all together, $800. That was about it.
Since I didn't produce it, I'm not 100. I think I know, but I don't want to say because I'm not sure.
That was just $5,000, I'd say.
I'd say with train tickets to get the crew out and equipment, it was about 500.
We did our feature for 30,000. The biggest part that I didn't account for when I did, our budget was 20,000. It ended up being 30. Food on set and transportation was way higher than I ever thought it would be.
Yeah. And that was over 2 years for us too, $5,000. So it's like spread out.
Just piggybacking on that though, what was your budget for film festivals? How many film festivals have you applied to? And what are your best and worst experiences at film festival?
Well, this
The
is
best
the
is
best.
this one. I can answer that one for everybody.
At this point, I think I've applied at least to 25 film festivals. I'm at the very beginning still. We were at Garden State Film Festival in March, and then this one, there will be in New Hope, PA in August, and then hopefully others after that. But yeah, so at least 25 now. I'm also looking at other ones that are closed right now, like especially like the one in Vienna, Austria. I'm definitely going to apply to. There's a couple there, so yeah, I'm in the beginning of that stage.
I'm going to give two different answers, because with this particular film, the producer is doing submissions and I'm not part of that process, other than giving her recommendations of places that I've been before that I like. With my very first film, when I didn't know what I was doing, every time I got a rejection, I went back online and submitted to 4 more festivals and wasn't keeping a budget, and I finally looked at it and went, what did I do? And that one, I think my success rate was about 10%. There was way too many submissions, and way like reaching submissions. As I became more, with each progressive film, I became more in touch with the festivals. Started focusing on places where I was an alumni. So my budget went down and my success rate goes up, but it can be a lot if you don't do the early birds, if you don't use alumni discounts, if you don't strategize. So
yeah, you know the audience you're trying to get, or you're trying to hope to be in for the festival too, and that's what I've learned early on with like our film. It's about the sea, it's about water, like Long Island, Block Island, Islands, water, like kind of getting some of that. I mean, it doesn't have to be specifically that, but it's resonated a lot more with those audiences, and it's a New England piece, so there's more New England festivals that kind of see it that way. So, understanding what your piece is, what audience might be attracted to it, or what audience you'd like to build your community and your audience with as well, can help you when you're applying to as well.
Yeah, I think we're in a similar boat, for no pun intended. That's been a big. At first, I was totally like gun crazy. I was like, oh, look at all this on Film Freeway, how fun! And I was like, oh my god, oops. But definitely speak to your communities, but also with that. For us, it's a film about water and swimming, so we submitted kind of outside of the box to also like sports festivals, environmental festivals, and it's been really interesting to see. We played a festival in Louisiana, one-day festival, where no one on the crew, there was no connection to. It was in the middle of the bayou, and we placed as a documentary, because it spoke to people. So. If there's some nice cost-effective festivals on your list that aren't, $100 for a short doc submission, try it. Throw it in. You might touch a community and, make some new connections. But I think focusing on your film subject matter, Sean, who has a film in the festival, he did a horror short. So we're good friends, we're submitting to very different festivals. He did a doc about swimming versus a horror short. You kind of have to play your cards right. So I think do your research and see what works for you.
I would say talk to Ed. I've talked to Ed, the photographer here.
Yeah.
Ed has warned me about certain film festivals, and I did not listen. And I'll go back to him like, I should have listened. So talk to Ed. He gave me a great list of film festivals. So.
We actually, when it came to the budget for that, I already funded the film and was kind of tapped out of money, but what we did actually, we reached out to Henry and we did our friends and family cast and crew screening here. So we had probably like 60 or 70 people come out, and then my wife made this profile on the website about basically like, this isn't for the film, we've made the film, this is, if you want to donate to help us get this film out there to festivals, it is just a festival thing, and we raised $2,600, so we put all of that towards film festival submissions, so we submitted to like 65 festivals, and like I wanted to make sure we dedicate all that money, but it was good because then I had an exact budget. We made a spreadsheet of all the ones that we wanted to, and we were able to kind of figure out how we're going to spend that money on festivals.
That's a good idea, yeah. Because people too, they want to, like sometimes they're leery to donate to something that hasn't been done, but it's like this is done and now, you know.
And they just seen
Let's
it.
get us
too.
to the finish,
Like,
to the finish line, yeah.
We like did a speech out there, they just watched it, they liked it. And
They're voting with their
everybody
dollars.
jumped right in.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
That's a good idea.
I think everybody's budget as to what they're going to spend on film festivals is different. However, like, what I do now is I only submit to festivals that I know someone who is affiliated or been there. So I talk to all of these people, like Melissa and I, especially Melissa was like super helpful, like when I was early in this process of telling me where she had been and what festivals were good and what were worth going. And you know, people often say, what's your favorite festival? And it's kind of like saying, what's my favorite movie? I have a bunch of different festivals that are my favorites for different reasons. But what I have learned is that finding festivals that, so for me, my films are typically, they're fairly mainstream, they're dramas and comedies. They're going to be a fit for many, many, many festivals. So now it's a matter of finding what's my fit for the festival, what's Brian's fit, where am I going to go where I jive with the people, where I connect with people, where I have fun, where they're going to bring audiences. Like I want to know, like I was talking to Debbie earlier when we were eating breakfast, and I played at 1:30 on Thursday. That's a crap time. We had a full theater because this is a good festival. And this festival brought people out into that theater at 1:30 in the afternoon on a Thursday. So I'm going to keep coming back to the Long Island International Film Expo because people show up. And then afterwards, people were engaged and they talked about my movie. And you know, that's a big thing. I keep submitting until they stop taking me or until I run out of festivals. So I just, you know, and I only submit early bird. So if, there's a few festivals that I'll submit maybe, like if there's like a couple of like festivals that I want to make a date or something. But I have probably like a 98% hard and fast only early bird submission rule. And I do that because the cost difference is radical. You're talking you save 100% or more by, I guess not more than 100%, but it'll cost you a lot.
Between the extended
between the extended or late dedeadline and the initial deadline, it's a radical
it could be way more than
difference.
100%.
Yeah. Like I was saying, it could be 200%. Anyway, and then I also have learned that certain movies are going to do better than others. And I stopped chasing myself. So I have one movie in particular right now, which I love, and it's a great movie. I think it's a great movie. I mean, it's my work, but I'm going to stop submitting it because it's done pretty well. You know, we've got a 25% acceptance rate, but my normal acceptance rate is 35 to 40%. So, and I'm also competing against myself because I have a couple movies out there. So I'm going to start tapering off the submissions of that one, and I'm going to focus on the movies that get into more, you know, that get into more places. And that, if I keep submitting, like Melissa's got it, that's a great, like my first movie, I just click. Next thing I know, it's 160 submissions, thousands of dollars. And, you know, I got into 22 film festivals. It was totally not worth it. It was a waste of it. Also, I submitted to like all these places that were never going to take me. So that's another thing, is learning that like I need to submit to places that are my people, that you know, that where my work fits. And I need to be realistic about my skill level. That, you know, Sundance is not going to take me. I'm too conventional, I'm too new, I'm not good enough. And I'm not degrading myself, I'm not denigrating myself. My films are great, I work really hard on them, but they're just not at that level, and I understand that. Maybe they will be.
But also something like Sundance, it's, I think, over
It's mostly for famous
90%,
people.
it's over 90% pre-program.
For the features, celebrity. And plus people who've come through their programs, their writing programs and things like that, and who they're represented by. That's
17,000 submissions at Sundance.
Yeah.
Like, just the raw odds.
Yeah. All right, we have time for one more. Yes.
Did you guys talk about online submissions? Because I have a big filmmakers that be really leery about these online festivals. And they're, for you newer guys, they're feeding on that. They don't have a brick and mortar. They do an online thing. Everything is money, you know, give us money to be considered for this, that. And, you know, you don't even know if they exist, because a lot of them are in Europe. And most people do because they want to get the laurels, right?
Yeah.
So did you guys talk about that?
No, but I will say, Brian said he had a hard and fast rule about early birds, which I agree with. The other one rule that I have, if something is a monthly online festival, if it's an awards, Smithtown Awards Festival, And if they are looking for a different submission for every category,
that. I
here,
know.
submit for short film, and here's another submission for director and for
That's my
actor
pet
and for,
peeve, yeah.
that is a money grab. It has, and people are paying for those awards, and
Yeah, you should never pay for an award.
I will not submit to any
Yeah,
of those kind of things.
I teach a short film class. I'm a professor at Iona University, and one of the things I talk about when we talk about film festivals is that anytime you have a profession where it's hard to make a living at it, unfortunately, it also brings out predators who know that people are desperate, and because they know people are desperate to get what they want, they'll spend money. And unfortunately, the film business is riddled with that. And in this context, we're talking about, there are a lot of disreputable film festivals, and it's not new with just online. There were 25 years ago, before there were online film festivals, there were disreputable film festivals doing the exact same things, where you pay for awards, and and everyone gets in, and you pay extra for different categories and all those different things. So please, I just want to amplify that, because it makes me angry that there are predators looking to make.
Also, what's the point of an online film festival?
Right.
Like, if I want to do it, I could just put it on my own
YouTube.
website or whatever. Like, I don't need them for that. Like, the point of a film festival is to watch films in community with other humans.
And to meet other filmmakers.
Yeah, and to meet other filmmakers.
To get that audience feedback is invaluable. So
Yeah.
to be in a setting like that. So thank you to Long Island International Film.
Thank you so much to our filmmakers for sharing their wisdom. There's more panels coming up, don't miss. At 1:30 we have a screenwriting panel with filmmaker Stephen Mena. And then at 3 o'clock we have a film festival panel with, I'm sorry?
Better Festing.
Better Festing, I'm sorry, I'm bad with titles.
Oh, good.
Where we
We'll
have,
continue this Thank Rachel Bardoza, by the way.
And everybody, please take a pink rose in memory of my little girl, Vienna. So you keep it for yourself or pass it along, make somebody's day. So, thank you. Hi, I'm Denise. Nice to meet you. It's really nice to meet you guys.